Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Viridian Hills podcast. I'm Holden, and I'm joined today by my dad. How's it going, Dad? How you doing? What's going on? What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just
what are you up to?
Home for a few days and having some coffee, talking Star Wars with my kid.
Yeah. So you've got an interesting perspective, of course, because you're one of the OGs. You were there for the beginning.
Yep.
And that's not that's not a perspective that a lot of people have the privilege of enjoying, right? So it's like I figured, why not sit you down today for the first episode of this new project that I'm undertaking, and pick your brain about it. Get whatever insights that can be gotten from it. So what do you say to just diving into some of the questions?
Oh, excited to see what you got for us.
All right, cool. So I don't know. Let's start with a simple one. What was it like to watch the original trilogy? So that's A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. What was it like to watch those three movies in theaters when they first came out, when they were fresh?
Interestingly enough, the very first time I saw Star Wars with your uncle was not in a theater. It was in a drive-in movie theater. It was drive-in.
Really?
Yeah. It was a drive-in with, those little tinny speakers that you would hang on your car windows. And we were so excited that we didn't stay in the car with the grand. We got out of the car and we went to the stall that was next to us where the cars parked, right, and they look at the theater, they look at the big screen, and then the stall next to us didn't have a car in it, so we sat there on a blanket and watched Star Wars unobstructed without a windshield through these tiny little, probably 5-inch speakers. No Dolby, no stereo, nothing, just completely. Just imagine watching a movie on your clock radio, on a radio, on a clock radio or something.
Nice.
And I was immediately from when I saw the Star Destroyer come over the top. It was just it was unlike anything I had seen before. And at that point, you had seen Close Encounters, you'd seen Silent Running, you'd seen 2001.
Which were all really good.
Yeah, which were all really good.
This was like an evolution. This was like the next step.
Yeah, it was completely different.
Right. Yeah. I'm assuming that the phone speaker wasn't that great though. At the drive-in, like the audio quality wasn't like fantastic.
Your phone speakers today were better than that. That speaker that was at the drive-in movie. Now, saw it twice more because
I thought it was a phone, right? Like you would like pick. It's like it's a phone that you pick up and you like listen to the thing.
No.
That's at some of the drive-ins, though, right?
No, it's on a metal stand, and
so it's like an intercom kind of.
Yeah, it looks like an intercom. It's just one mono speaker, and you have a volume control on it, and it's got a hook on it. It's all built into the case. And then, you can Google it out there. There's a lot of restoration videos right now. Actually, the cool thing to do right now with a lot of people, with a lot of restoration and makers, is to do an Arduino or a Bluetooth with a modern speaker inside, and then just have it wireless. And people like to collect these drive-in movie theater speakers and then use them at home.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's something that I wouldn't mind doing, but I just don't have a use for it. And we have so much stuff in the house already. I don't know, to add one more to it.
Yeah, what's the point?
But a lot of people will remember that it was so successful they re-released it.
So they had like a second run.
Right. They re-released it and went to go see that in the movie theater, and it was just 10 times better. Now you can hear the bass, the rumble, the music just came to life. It was incredible, and I was everything Star Wars since.
So how old were you when you saw it for the first time? What age?
Was it 79, right? Was it 78 or 79?
I'll look that up.
78, so I had to have been 10 years old.
Okay. And while I look this up, 77 actually. 77.
9 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, well, let me ask you, like, since you saw it in the drive-in with that kind of unique experience for the first time, like, do you like tend to associate A New Hope with that first watch? Like, everything that like comes after, do you like use that as the what was it called? Like the reference? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, is it weird every time you watch it, or you're like, the sound is fantastic, but you're only thinking that because the first time you saw it, the sound was so bad. You know what I mean? Like, does anything like that ever associate?
No.
But was it like a memorable first experience though? Just in general?
Yeah, obviously.
You think so? Yeah. Why is it so mind blowing to so many people though? You know what I mean? Like, what is it about that? Like, is it just because cinema just got to a point where like great storytelling and like creativity really started flowing?
No, it's just a good movie. It's just
like,
a good, it's a good, well made movie. if you look at how well it holds up in 2021, right now, if you watch it in 2021, it's still a watchable movie. It's
Yeah.
not like, Porky's or, uh, oh, what is it? What a movie that doesn't hold up well,
Sure.
you can still watch it. It's timeless, so regardless of what new things that Star Wars did back then, it was just still well edited, well made, well filmed, well soundtracked,
Yeah.
movie. So that's the thing that makes it last, and that's the thing that makes it stand out, for me. I could watch, not like not like Phantom Menace, or you just sit there and you cringe at the prequels and the
Which they
and the
have good
sequels.
scenes like Duel of the Fates, but the work
Oh
as
yeah,
a whole
yeah,
is just
yeah,
not like
yeah,
it's not something you can watch start to finish without kind of
yeah. Just
having a very uneven sort of viewing experience.
right, and it's very dated. Even
Yeah.
even though they're newer, they're very dated.
Yeah, they are, and But come on, there have to be like if you have to think about it though, there has to be like at least like some nitpick about like the OT, any of the three films that date them, that place them in the late '70s and early '80s, if you could think of anything.
Something that Rogue One took advantage of to
Like the hair, probably, right?
exactly
Yeah.
the sideburns and the hair.
Yeah, the very
Right.
like
But those
that,
are.
like
But you know what? I would rock those today if I could do them.
it's kind of like sci-fi, like British sci-fi. Or
Well, it's,
something.
it's like the sideburns in Star Trek with
Yeah.
the original cast. The original series.
But you think that look holds up today, even?
No, it's dated, but
But you like it though.
it's
is what
in
I'm saying.
universe. It's part
So
of
it's
part of
appropriate because
it's appropriate,
yeah.
right? Because when they redid that when they were very careful to redo that with Rogue One, and they were very careful about that. It matched right up. That's why my two favorite movies are A New Hope and Rogue One.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just hands down. I've had to think about that and think about it. And right now, in this very moment, I have to say my two favorite movies of the franchise are Rogue One and A New Hope.
I don't know. You notice how like new movies though, like they have different kinds of shots. It's like you don't get like the same kinds of shots that you got in like '70s and '80s and '90s movies. It's like I don't know, like the way they're all filmed, it kind of makes them feel kind of lifeless. Like don't you think so? Isn't there sort of like a lifelessness to Rogue One, even if there are parts that you
Oh
don't like
heck no,
about it?
no,
You don't think so?
no,
Maybe it's just the digital to film. I don't know.
no.
You don't miss like film because I don't. I didn't.
I miss practical effects. I miss
Yeah.
real models.
Yeah, definitely.
I miss in-camera effects with forced perspective and the things that they used to have to do back then. And right now with digital, everything's so processed, everything's so
Yeah.
post-production process that you can't tell. Well, like with Lord of the Rings, you thought that Helm's Deep and the Rohirrim and all that stuff was digital, and it turns out those were practical, live, full, half studio size, castle, models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you can't tell because when Peter Jackson went into post production, we've got to give it this green tone or a blue tone or
Yeah.
it's got to have a certain color palette. So then all the digital looks the same as practical. And some people think that's good, and some people think it's not. Half the time the digital stuff looks so real, but then the practical stuff that was filmed gets processed so much, then it looks digital.
Yeah, it's weird how they do that. It's ironic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's weird because it's like I didn't have as much time to get used to film as you did, and it's like it doesn't seem like it bothers you, but I really miss it. I really miss all of that, and like I don't know, it's like it doesn't seem like something that a lot of people like talk about enough. I don't know. To me, it's like every movie these days. Not like putting aside, maybe it's just the loss of creativity. Maybe it's just to the point where everything's like a rehash or something. But it's like I feel like that spark of inspiration or whatever just left a long time ago. And I feel like it kind of left right around the same time that they stopped using film. I don't know. I just feel like it kind of places you in the movie or whatever it is a little more. It makes it feel much more alive. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just a weird.
No,
thing
what you're talking about is the same thing that we had arguments over all the time back in the late '80s and early '90s between digital and analog, with sound, with audio files, with LPs versus CDs, and with analog you have an infinite. What your eye is seeing is the grain of the film, of the celluloid, and when you see digital, it's just it's data that's reconverted back to represent something visual. Wherein there is a certain tone, a certain smoothness to and temperature.
Yeah.
warmth to
Yeah, like the
film.
orangey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you just don't get that in digital. Now, digital cameras are just fantastic. The camera on your phone can do so much more than a 35 millimeter camera back from the 80s and the early 90s.
Yeah.
But it's also missing a certain warmth and feel to it, and that's exactly, I think that's what you're talking about right now. That's why LPs, records are coming back. That's why film cameras are coming back, because we've had at least 2 generations now that have not seen that,
Right.
including yours. And that's exactly, I think that's right now. I think that's exactly what you're touching on, if I'm not wrong.
Maybe. I mean, it's just the way I see it. It's like, I don't know, if I wanted to look at something that's like super photorealistic, I would just go outside. You know what I mean? It's like when I watch a movie, I like to, or when I do anything really in terms of entertainment and media, I want to escape into something. You know, that's why I don't like these new video. Like I don't want to sound like old or whatever, but it's like, I don't. Not that there's anything wrong with being old, but it's like I don't want to play a video game where everyone looks real. I like the cartoony kind of style. I like being brought into something that has a separate set of rules. You know, like its own inner world. And it's just, I feel like a lot of stuff, it tries way too hard to be like, what is it, like natural or whatever. It's just not.
Well, see, I'm the opposite, because anytime that with each generation, with the new PlayStation 5 and the new processing and all these new games coming out, you actually play, your game action is better than what used to be the cutscenes just from 10 years ago, the animated the cutscene animations from 10 years ago. To me, that's kind of neat, but you grew up with that, so you're just kind of used to it, so you don't even know.
Maybe.
It's just, I don't know.
Because maybe it's something that you wanted when you were growing up or something. Maybe it's something you always wondered about. Like, hey, I wonder what this, I don't know, like Super Nintendo game would look like if it was actually 3D. It was crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then when like stuff like PlayStation, N64, and Dreamcast and all that came out, like that's like the 5th or 6th gaming generation of like our generation of gaming consoles.
Yeah.
That was like the leap into that whole thing, and that blew a lot of people's minds. But I don't know if you were playing video games by then. You might have been a little too old. But yeah.
I think I stopped just
like
right after
late
you were
90s,
born.
early 2000s.
No, I last video game I really got into. 2 video games I got into were Knights of the Old Republic and Homeworld. Those were the last 2 franchises I got. Oh, well, not really, because when you were 6 or 7, I was going through the whole Tom Clancy Rainbow Six thing on Xbox.
Nice.
And that was the last one. That was the last one.
Yeah. So you had an interesting experience with Star Wars, watching it for the first time in theaters and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experience like with the merchandise, like the toys? We know the infamous Kenner toys that don't look very, good at all.
Well, we didn't have a lot of money for toys. I mean, we had money for Grandma and Grandpa had everything for us that we needed. We never really went hungry or anything. But
you didn't have like room for frills or whatever.
No. I did not have the life that you had.
Did you ever make Star Wars toys yourself, or like you ever do anything on your own, like you just pick up a stick and like, oh, I got a lightsaber or something? You ever do anything like that?
Oh yeah, who doesn't? I remember all the kids in the neighborhood got all those stupid plastic clear tube lightsabers from the store.
Oh yeah.
And then they'd be toast by the end of the week because they'd be all bent and everything, because we did not treat them. But I didn't have any of that, so I'd have to get a stick or a broom handle or something like that.
I mean, that must have been interesting, like during the New Hope era, because like the only real lightsaber fight you saw was Alec Guinness just like wobbling around.
Yeah,
and, you saw, like
old man fighting.
It wasn't Episode 3 choreography or anything by the
way. Well,
so.
You know what? Episode 3 choreography and Episode 1 through 3 choreography. I really don't like that either.
Well, because it's not practical, right?
It's not practical. There's all these flourishes. They're not defensive half. They're not offensive half the time. They're leaving themselves open. There's too many twirls. Actually, Episode 3 with Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar, that actually, with the exception of just like maybe 4 or 5 moves, that ironically the most stylistic and artistic. That actually had a lot of really realistic moves.
Nice.
Proper, but they were just so fast paced that it looked like, when you're thinking he was twirling, he's actually defending himself. And when you break it down, was it Shadowversity? It's got a really good breakdown on that one.
Good channel.
Good channel, yeah. And he breaks it down like, movement by movement. And you're like, oh my God. What I thought was just artistic was, or, Drummond was cheerleading baton twirling
Yeah.
is actually some pretty good moves. But some of the other stuff, um, what I don't like a lot of the times is how they always do the little twirl and the lightsaber before they go on before they go to a
Yeah,
guard
it's
position.
just extra.
Yeah, the little flourish. It's just like it's so extra. But I mean, hey, it's fantasy, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like what you were saying about digital versus practical effects. It's like sometimes they do all this extra work to make it realistic, but then they mess it up by doing something in editing, and it's like the effect is completely ruined because the optics of it just make it like look weird. They just cancel it out. It somehow devalues it. So it's kind of similar with this. It's like they just do a little. They go through all this effort on one side, but then they do something else on the other side that just cancels it out. It's like okay,
Well, you take that and then you go to the sequels where you have Rey doing this, open hacking and
Yeah, they
swinging,
just gave up.
and then she does, she, I don't know, they gave up. It's just, and they had the same choreographers from I think the whole time of the franchise. Some of those guys were the OGs from the '70s that they kept along the way, and they I don't know what he was trying, with Johnson and Abrams. I don't think they even gave a shit.
Yeah.
It would be one thing to go, oh, we're just trying to make it, show that she's, she just has the natural force talent, and that she doesn't need technique because she's strong with the force. So this is the force coming through and giving her strength. If they made that clearer, maybe I could go with that. She doesn't need to have good technique because she is the one. She's
but even that's so shitty.
Yeah, I know, but
no, they didn't think about it that deeply. They didn't think about it that long at all. When the paychecks are big enough and when the franchise is a guarantee.
The last three movies were all a screw you to the original fans.
They're garbage.
I mean, they were just we're gonna the word you want to hear the least in Hollywood nowadays is reimagined.
No,
and everyone wants to reimagine it in their little high school, Bachelor of Arts, creative writing class masturbatory fantasies on, oh hey, this is my fanfic. So basically,
it's about me.
The last three were, Kathleen Kennedy's and Johnson's and. And Abrams, little fanfic, Usenet board,
It's rough.
I mean, it was, this is my story. It's like let's just forget about the fans and what Star Wars really means. Unlike was it Favreau and Filoni, who actually understand and are fans themselves. None of the Kennedy, Johnson, and Abrams are completely not fans, or was it Abrams came right out and said it?
They don't watch this stuff.
They don't watch it, and and Johnson just wants to do what Johnson wants to do, and screw everybody else. Not even with all due respect to the fans.
No,
I mean they don't even give us that. They don't even care. They're like, screw you.
None of it's even real anyway. Like that's just all PR stuff anyway. But they can't even do the bare minimum. They can't even do the business side.
Oh my god,
the customer relations.
We just need to do a do-over like Highlander 2. Just pretend it doesn't exist.
Gosh.
Or do a Cameron where just come up with what was the last Terminator? He just goes, you know what? Nothing exists after Terminator 3. After Terminator
Dark
2.
Fate, maybe?
Yeah, Dark Fate. It wasn't great, but I like how Cameron, at least he just comes and goes, you know what? Nothing exists after Terminator 2. This just picks right up. Yeah, it's a rewrite. Yeah, and that's what we need to do to Star Wars.
It can be done. It's not as if it can't be done. It could be done. But what's gone now is the chance to have Luke, Han, and Leia on screen all at once. That's over.
Yeah.
That's done. No one wants to see CGI, weird, deep fake that. The mad,
it wasn't Star Wars. It wasn't Star.
They had a chance.
They had, if you could do, a mashup or a compilation of the last three movies. They had some really good scenes. They had some really good possible storylines. Everything was there for it to be successful, and they just threw it away.
Yeah.
And then it's all everything's embroiled in the wokeness of the whole thing and all the SJW stuff, which they completely missed with Finn. You know, they could have gone so many different ways with Finn.
But they don't really care.
And that shows you they
and
don't
there's the
care.
thing with China.
Yeah,
too,
it shows you they don't care.
It's just corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
If they
It's
really
ridiculous.
cared, Finn would have figured more into it.
Yeah, it's such a waste of just everything. Time, energy, creativity, life, you know. It's like she's just all around a veritable failure.
You know,
that,
I mean,
that sequel trilogy.
it was awful. It's like, you know, you can watch things like, just the last thing I watched, you know, Netflix is Trilogy with, you know, the anime, right? The Filipino anime.
No, I haven't heard.
Okay, well, it's about Alexandra Trece. She's, anyway, female character. She's a badass. She's the strongest character, but at no time do you get.
Is she woke?
No, you know, she's got two demon twins working for her and calling her boss.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she is just a kick-ass.
But they don't stop every 2 seconds to go, hey, look at this strong woman.
You know,
look at this strong, independent woman.
And it's like you would follow her anywhere. You would do anything because it's not in your. It's organic. It's done right. You know, it's done without making men look stupid.
Yeah, the writers don't just stop every 2 seconds to congratulate.
My God, what was that middle one in the sequel?
Star Wars sequel.
Yeah.
Well, there was Force Awakens, Last Jedi, right? And then
Last Jedi, the Rise. So in Last Jedi, it's basically Poe and Finn walking around. Dirty dirt! I'm a stupid dude. I'm a man. I have testicles, so I can't think. I'm going to go rush headstrong into this. I'm going to bump. Oh, good thing I've got this female.
Well, then they're stupid too because they were right. Too, so they didn't even write it properly.
Tech engineer that's going to show me how to like calm my titties down.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's like it's so blatant. You
couldn't even write it properly though, because both of the dumb male characters, whatever, were right, and the female ones were like wrong. Like they couldn't even woke properly. That's how bad they are. It didn't even make sense within the context of the situation.
Here's something that we don't agree on is that I think Captain Marvel was done well because everything that the men did stupidly is realistic.
Sure.
You know, like the guy on the motorcycle, hey, smile, you look cuter when you smile. Or like you can, those are things I see in real life. Yeah, so, you know, when you anchor it in a real life example, then that's fine. You know,
I just think the writing, I think people have a problem with the writing. It's not necessarily like,
I think people have a problem with Brie Larson
outside. How you got there, you know what I mean?
I think people have, well, it's more of like, I didn't have a problem with it until I saw Brie Larson's interview afterwards.
She's pretty bad with people.
She was bad.
So they were going to look at it with that already in mind.
And I was able to watch the movie before I heard anything.
So you saw it a little more objectively, you think?
I think I saw it really objectively because Nick Fury was still a badass, but
people were mad that he got his eye scratched out by they thought it was emasculating. Like, come on.
Well, no, they had to come up with an origin story for the.
But you know, it should be cool. It's not.
I see.
Or it should be from the comics.
No, it should be. But I thought it was actually funnier because it was like whatever the larg or whatever they call that thing. I don't have my
like alien cat.
Yeah, the alien cat. I thought it was funny because it was a cat. Right, it was a kitty cat that scratched his eye, but it's not a kitty cat. It's a world eater or whatever. Sure. But the thing was, Nick Fury he's a badass as a human being, but he immediately concedes that she can kick my butt. I'm going to defer to her for all this stuff.
Well, yeah, I will say,
and he doesn't do it in an emasculating way. That to me, that was very intelligent. It's like, hey, you got powers, I don't. You know, you're this is on you. You know.
Well, I've never seen it, but from how you
you really need to see it.
From how you've described
it's not
it, though,
bad. It's not bad at all.
I don't know. Like at least if that is the case, then at least like they've established that she's an alien. At least they have a reason in the universe to make her a Mary Sue, basically. Which makes her not as much of a Mary Sue.
No, she wasn't a Mary Sue because she has flaws. Not everybody likes her.
Yeah.
You know, she's not completely, impervious to, threats, or she's not all powerful. She actually doesn't walk into, other than her getting her powers, she doesn't. But she has a struggle. That she has a journey. She has a story arc. She wasn't just like, oh, I woke up and I've got powers. She has to come to terms with her powers. So if you weren't colored by, Brie Larson's, Katie Sackhoff, deal with it. That was the biggest thing for me with Starbuck being a female. It wasn't so much that she was a female. It was just her and Moore and all the cast command goes, the Battlestar Galactica is female. Deal with it. It's like, don't tell me to fucking deal with it. God. And it's like, you know, that wasn't, you know, anyway.
Cringe.
You know, it was cringy.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you're reacting to that the same way I reacted to Battlestar Galactica, which prevents me from completely, you know, I appreciate that Battlestar, you know, more is about BSG is, you know, new BSG is actually, is really good writing.
Yeah.
You know, it's really good. It's a really good creative product, but the press and everything around it and the marketing around it was very offensive to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, don't blow sunshine. Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. And that's what they did. Oh, we need to reimagine it so that, you know, it's more equitable, it's more inclusive. It's like, you couldn't get more inclusive than the original 70, you know, the 78 Battlestar Galactica with female warriors, female council members, female members. I mean, it was like, you know, Boomer, you know, he's black.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing they didn't have was an Asian person. Okay.
Right.
You know, Colonel Ty was black. So what did they do in New BSG? Make Colonel Ty a white alcoholic man. You know, the two most beloved characters were badass Colonel Ty and Boomer, and they freaking gender swapped Boomer, okay, and race swapped, and then they race swapped the Colonel Ty. So he's telling me he's doing it to be included. No, he's doing it because that was his little freaking junior high school short fiction story that he wrote, and that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, and if he said that's just the way I wanted to see it. All they had to
if
do,
he was just honest about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All they had to do in the press was, that's just the way I imagine I wanted to see it. So I wanted to give it, I was given an opportunity to try it my way, and I hope you guys like it.
But no, they got to make a statement.
No, he doesn't say that. He goes, oh, I wanted to be more inclusive and reflect the military today. I'm like, are you kidding me? Did you watch the original? It was co-ed, you know, multiracial in the first place, minus Asian people, okay?
Yeah.
But that was it, you know?
Everyone wants to reinvent everything.
Don't lie to me, you know? I love the fact that, you know, if we're talking, you know, 70s franchises versus modern or up to date, well, isn't it funny that new BSG is considered vintage now because it came out 20 years ago, I think?
Oh, new Battlestar.
Yeah, new Battlestar Galactica. But, you know, if they wanted to, you know, I would completely have just treated it differently if they just said, if he was just honest with that crap versus trying to say it was going to reflect modern military and modern this. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, rehashing.
Ugh, man. I had a point, but I completely forgot what. Oh yeah. It's like just to, you know, people forget how many like great silent film actresses there were. You know, in the 10s and the 20s, it's like there were so many. Like a lot of those movies, when you watch them, it's like the female role is like what drives the story. It's not always the damsel in distress. It's not always the. It's like, what bullshit are you talking about? You know, it's like this stuff has been around since the inception of the cinematic medium and before. You know, think of all the Victorian plays, Edwardian, you know, the Renaissance stuff that has medieval stuff. There's even plenty of like, you know, Chaucer. You know, it's like he has the Wife of Bath, that story. It's about a woman who, you know, I guess is kind of woke by today's standards or whatever. Like she emasculates all the men around her. You know, she's strong and independent and all that, and she's got the one up on them. It's like this shit's been around since the dawn of civilization. So shut the hell up. You know, it's like just stop. It's not worth it. I mean, well, look at all the female royalty too. It's like if really everything was so. I mean, it was bad in certain ways, obviously, but it's like if everything was really such a nightmare, then how could Bloody Mary be Bloody Mary? You know, it's like, you know, how could all these people, these female royals have the influence that they have? It's like just if you're gonna do social change or whatever, it's like make it effective, like actually do something with it. You know, if you really care about this stuff, then go to the Middle East or go to like another part of the world where this stuff isn't, you know, where that isn't a tolerant society the way that the West, you know, generally is.
You can't do that.
You know? Well, no, they can't because that would actually involve
because that would be racist
and that would be dangerous.
Yeah, that would be racist.
Yeah, that would actually
put
them at risk. That would be affecting real change.
Let's not talk about the sexism and blatant.
Or the racism
male-dominated cultures in Saudi Arabia, you know, and you know, the Middle East. Let's not talk about that.
And it's no dig against them specifically. It's just the double standard. You know, it's like every country, every part of the world has its problems. It's like we just recognize that. I love how everyone likes to poop on America because it's easy to. You know, I don't know. I'm getting sick of it. But oh man, we moved really far off topic. But that's the beauty of the show. So. I guess so far we've covered in terms of you being a Star Wars fan in the 70s and 80s. We've covered what it was like to watch the original trilogy in theaters. We've covered what the merchandise was like. What do you think of the Marvel comics from back then, like the run that they had? You've told me that you
Oh
didn't
my God,
like
they
it.
were awful.
Yeah, you didn't
They
like
were
it.
awful.
I think it's cool. I think it's kind of kitsch.
No,
You know?
no. They
It's got a nice like.
it is in hindsight, it's kitsch.
Sure.
But in living through it, you were looking at how quickly they rushed to get merchandising out, including the comic books, that they had no respect for the source material. And one of the biggest things that we had was, it wasn't Starlog magazine, it was something in the early 80s. They did the Marvel Cantina scene from the Star Wars, and they did 2 pages of panels. A fan did it, and it was, I don't know if they published it in Starlog, but they had the original Marvel panels, and then they had the fan-made ones drawn to look just like, it looked like Alec Guinness, it looked like Mark Hamill, it looked like Han Solo. The Cantina, it was panel for panel, but they redrew it, and they go, this is what we deserve.
Right.
Had Marvel just taken the time to do it. And this was fandom, and it was so much better than anything. Now we're used to it with all the stuff that we see now. You're used to people actually looking, everything. Just walk into Maximum Comics the other, before COVID here, and you look at what they're offering, and everyone looks like their characters.
Yeah,
that's something that you grew up, you never knew until you saw the old stuff that people look like elves. Especially with Carmine Infantino drawing all that stuff.
Sure.
Back then it was just like, with his squishy, pre-Disney noses and his, distinctly almost Asian-like, features that he just, he drew everybody the same. It was annoying. It was annoying. I did not like it.
So the one thing you guys craved, or at least you craved back in the day, was authenticity and accuracy. Like you wanted like a movie accurate model of the Millennium Falcon. You wanted like a movie accurate set of line of action figures.
Right.
You wanted it to look like what it did on the screen, and it never did, because a lot of the time it was cheap, or they just wanted to rush it out, and they didn't really understand merchandise because it was one of the big it was like one of the first. It was one of the franchises.
It created
it created that whole marketing scheme.
It created film merchandising.
Without that, you wouldn't have all these tie-ins that we kind of that are kind of petering out, but especially in the 2000s, like with things like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, like you had a ton of stuff. Remember, we even had like the thing where you put the like, you have like a model maker where you put like wax in, and you can like print out molds of.
Yeah, you had it.
Bake like mold, like it's weird. Like that's weird shit. That can only exist.
We did it when you were like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, we did it when you were 4 or 5.
That's super weird.
I missed that. I wish we didn't. I don't think we have that anywhere.
Well, I think it's broken. I think it broke. So
I think it did break, but
isn't that weird though? Like that's such a random thing. That's like having, I don't know. Like, anything like a Darth Vader, like oven mitt or something. Nothing. What is that? Do you really need that?
The only closest thing that I remember, and people, the 2 viewers that are watching this can write in the comments and tell us if we're wrong. But the only thing I remember that was a tie-in for anything.
Yeah.
Okay, movie-wise. Okay, we had Star Trek action figures. We had a bridge playset, all that other stuff for the original series. Yeah. Communicators. We had Space 1999 Eagles, and I think there even was Command Center. But those are TV properties. The only one that I think we ever had that was movie-related was Planet of the Apes.
Really?
That was good stuff.
That's cool.
That was good stuff.
I like
you had the treehouse for it and all this other stuff. And
did you have it?
No. Come on, dude.
I don't know.
Grandpa. He wouldn't spend money on that.
Oh, I just don't know. Maybe if you got a job or something, like you saved all that. We're looking forward to getting this treehouse, and then you got it, and it's like my favorite thing.
I wish. And then there was always that plastic smell, that plastic rubber smell that when you would open it, all the stuff made in China. It was probably carcinogenic, but it was great.
Satisfying.
I loved it.
Yeah. Well, it's like huffing, car fumes or something. It's like they smell good, but you're gonna die if you do it too much. So like I don't know. There was one comic that I liked from the Star Wars line, though, from your collection that I read, and it had like this. It was this one about. It was actually about Don Quixote. Don Quixote.
Yeah.
The novel 16.
I remember the cover. He's on a horse or jousting a.
Yeah. And that's a book about it's one of the first, people consider it to be one of the first, like the modern, like what we consider today to be a novel, right? Like that in the modern sense. It was written in the 17th century by a Spaniard who had a crazy life. This is a big tangent, but. It's interesting because like he actually was arrested by pirates and stuff, and like spent like a bunch of years in jail and everything. So like a lot of the ridiculous adventures that the characters have in that story are actually based on his real life. And so it's like, even though, and so then they paid an homage to that by having this like Don Quixote character in Star Wars, but he was like, he's like a Jedi, and so he had like a yellow lightsaber and everything, and like, even if you didn't like it, like I thought that was like, even if it's very far off from the source material, it's like that in itself is a really good story. That's a really smart, literate story that you probably wouldn't get today. Like if you're gonna do like a sellout, like if you're gonna sell out or whatever, at least do it like that. That's the way I see it. It's like even the cheap stuff is cool. I'm not like trying to romanticize the past because I know that there's bad, good and bad and everything, but it's like that was a pretty good story. It was like a standout to me, and I didn't expect it because it did come from this Marvel Star Wars thing, which I myself came into thinking that it was just going to be kind of cheap, but it was like, wow, that was like a really nice story. It caught me off guard, and I thought it was interesting. I thought the character was like surprisingly fleshed out for someone who was just kind of a
I'm going to have to read it again because
two-dimensional type.
Yeah, I thought it was boring. I thought that one was boring.
I thought it was good
when I was like 13, 11 years old or whatever.
Well, maybe it's just the novelty of it. I'm not sure, but I liked it. But yeah,
this whole I'm looking at the screen. This whole Mike Zero thing you got going here is just.
Why Mike? He loved like talking about Mike Zero. Like I've never watched a single one of his videos.
Yeah. The only thing that's making us that's stopping us from going full Mike Zero is us being like 2 inches away from the camera.
Today we're going to talk about the rumors. We're going to talk about the rumors. I'm in my mom's basement. I got the dartboard in the back. I found a USB drive in the parking lot at Lucasfilm. God damn. Okay, so comic books. You didn't like them. I like them. Well, I will say this one more thing. I think it's because I like comic books just in general. Like take Spider-Man for example. The whole point of those superheroes is to have like multiple interpretations, right? So I kind of see this Star Wars as the same.
Yeah.
It's like I like that someone else kind of took it and filtered it through their own perspective and like took it in their own direction and everything, because you can that's possibility right there. It's like not everything has to always be the same, and that's kind of one thing I don't like about a lot of Star Wars fans in general. It seems like the community is very conservative with a small c when it comes to changes and stuff, and I feel like that's part of the reason why the sequel trilogy was I'm not blaming them necessarily, but like there's that's kind of a thing, isn't it? Like in the community, like it always has to be about a Skywalker. I know that not every fan likes this. I got to be careful when I say this because I don't want to piss people off, but like it's like everything has to be about a Skywalker. Everything has to be about a Kenobi. Because it's like you've got the lowest common denominator people who are like, oh, Star Wars is only those things. When it's like what made it beautiful was that it was like a serial. It was inspired by the Flash Gordon serials, and so it's like Star Wars would have been like imagine what it could have been like if they had like let's say 9 episodes, but they were one after the other. Like what if they had continued after 6, picked it back up, and just had more adventures and developed it even more, and just a continuous storyline, but not like sell it out, but get to the point where like Luke and everybody die, and then you have a new set of characters. It's just like keep the universe going, different characters, different parts of the universe explored. Because
I don't think you're listening to yourself.
Oh, what do you mean? What?
Because I'm telling you to watch Mandalorian. You refuse to watch Mandalorian. I'm telling you, Rogue One.
I think that's a little different.
No, it is.
I think it's a little different.
It is. Other than the ending of the last season, it's set aside from all the original characters. It's standalone. And so is Rogue One. There are no Skywalkers in Rogue One, and these are excellent. These are by far the top 3 pieces of Star Wars franchise. Like I said, Rogue One, no Skywalkers, no Solos, no Kenobis. Okay, and aside from the last episode of season 2 or season 3? I think season 2.
Yeah,
there is no Skywalker. Okay, and those are excellent pieces of Star Wars work, and that's exactly where the whole franchise should have gone. And I'm OG, right? And I couldn't care less about the Skywalkers.
Right.
Okay, I mean, really, I'm about the Star Wars universe. So give me more Mandalorian, give me more. Hey, I wasn't the biggest Ahsoka Tano fan, but I mean, it'll work for me. That's what I want to see. I just want to see good storytelling, good in the universe, good world building, and you don't have that in any of the sequels.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And the prequels were good. They had their own problems.
Yeah.
They weren't my thing, but I can sit there and I can concede that that's your generation's.
Well, and at least it has the spirit.
It has the spirit.
It's a really bad execution, but at least it has the spirit. And at least all of the.
But it still respected the fans, and he tried to create new stuff. And I appreciate that his intent was to do that. But it was not in. It is nowhere like when Rogue One came in, I'm like, holy shit! When I'm watching that in the theater, I'm like, I am back in real Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, the prequels were never like that. I was like, oh, it's got Star Wars music, it's got sabers, it's got okay, but I did not feel, it did not have that magic. I can't tell you the magic it had. Rogue One was like I was watching Star Wars. That was almost like that should have been a 1981 release versus Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
you know,
we should watch it again sometime. We could do a review for it.
Dude, I love Rogue One.
Get right into it because you seem like you like it a lot.
No, I love Rogue One.
Yeah, but for me, well, I will say this about the prequels though. It's like there are select scenes. If you made the compilation, like you would get Duel of the Fates. Like
Duel of Fates.
Those are all Star Wars. Just cut out all the fluff in between.
That is my best. Duel of Fates being in Phantom Menace, being in a movie that I don't necessarily like.
Yeah.
Duel of Fates is the best Star Wars fight scene.
It's great.
Period.
It's great.
Period.
Yeah, it's good.
Period. And Lucas, and see, one of the biggest butt hurts that I have is that Lucas killed Darth Maul, which was the dumbest thing.
Oh my god!
And then you have geriatric. Nothing against Christopher Lee. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You have geriatric Dooku.
I like him, but he didn't need to be a main villain. He needed to be like the guy.
He was good if he was. Yeah, he was great because he had old school elegance. He had class. He had fighting skills. He was great. But the reason why he didn't sit well is because he was the Darth Maul replacement, where people wanted Darth Maul.
Yeah.
They didn't want Count Dooku. And if Dooku was his own thing, it'd been like he's a badass. No ifs, ands, or buts. But it's just like he was no Darth Maul. You had this iconic, just everything was perfect. It's like, how do you replace Darth Vader? You can't, right?
Yeah.
And then you see Darth Maul, you go, oh fuck, I think Lucas did it.
Yeah.
What? He's dead? Then like 10 seconds later, he's dead. You're like, what did you just do?
What a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste. But a few things to touch on there though. It's like, so I mean, you could if you wanted to. I bet there's like a fan out there somewhere of this, right? Something similar, right? Where you just take all of the best parts of the prequels, you put them there, you package it.
I think I watched.
You package it as like some sort of like history lesson, all right? Like maybe this is what kind of like what it was or something, like kind of what it was pre-OT. That'd be cool. But the movies themselves, there's really there's no real point. I think it would actually be better if they only showed those like select scenes as like this is like because it would create more mystique. Then you can fill in like what actually happens. Because the journey to get to those scenes is what's the problem.
Right.
It's not necessarily like the good scenes in and of themselves. It's just that after you spend 60 minutes watching terrible dialogue, like you are my son, Anakin. You are like a boy to me. I raised you, and it's like all that shitty dialogue and the cringe. It's like that sticks to you, and so those moments that are supposed to have that impact, they don't necessarily. But on their own, self-contained, they would. And not only that, but I will, the prequels in general. What makes them that era fantastic is just all of the tie-in merchandise. You have the best Star Wars games from that, ever from that era. Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2 from 2004 and
But you also have some of the worst decisions ever, which was no practical clone troopers on set. Everything CGI, which does not age well. I mean, there's nothing like a real life actor in a storm, in plastic armor, on set to interact with. No, I just that does not hold up well, and it's still cringy right now.
But long story short, it's like everything about the prequels except the movies is pretty much good. Everything around the movies is good.
Great idea, respectful.
And the books too.
The books. I do not disagree with any of that.
Yeah. So
it just wasn't. It did not resonate, and it did not speak to me. That's all.
Whereas with the sequels, there's really nothing. It's like at least you can say certain things about the prequels. But
I'm trying to think of one cool thing about the sequels.
I mean, I will say that the cinematography, sometimes, when they had that planet with the red dust or whatever, that was kind of cool, the salt planet or whatever.
Yeah,
it has really good cinematography.
Artistically,
really good it's nice to look at, but that's really, it's got a nice aesthetic, but it's just a shame that they didn't actually do anything with it. You look at some stills from the movie and you just wonder what could have been,
Solo is better than any of the sequels.
I think Solo's all right. Dude, I think Rogue One, Solo, Mandalorian. I think just all of it's to me, it's just mediocre. It's like there's better use of your
You can't.
resources.
No. You cannot.
I haven't seen them. Okay,
No,
okay.
you cannot.
Okay, you can feel like
Yeah.
my opinion
No,
doesn't.
no,
Is discounted,
you
but it's
cannot
like,
have an opinion
Okay,
if you never watched it.
fine.
Because every that's just a
I'm just
scientific
saying.
fact.
I'm just
You
saying.
cannot have an opinion
Okay.
when you haven't seen anything. It's like, oh, I hate ice cream. Have you ever had ice cream? No, I just hate the idea of ice cream. Yeah, okay. How do you know? You know?
I just think I'm mad about the EU stuff because there were a lot of great ideas in the EU and the EU, extended universe stuff. It played out the way that it should have.
And that's the Captain Marvel effect for you.
Yeah.
Because I went in Captain Marvel not hearing anything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I thought that was a good movie.
Because the thing about the EU, though, I think this is something that a lot of Star Wars fans might not want to hear or whatever, but it's like, people like Luke Skywalker, they are iconic. Yes, they are great characters, but at the end of the day, they're types. You know what I mean? They're stock characters, really. Luke is the chosen one. Princess Leia is the pretty much the woman. The I guess not femme fatale, but kind of, right? Like in a way, almost. And Han Solo is like the rogue-ish type. Those are just stock characters, and they, they were brought to life. They were the way that they were, and so it actually stands as a testament to how good the movies are because now, like, they have risen above the stock, right? But it's all like that hero with 1,000 faces kind of, just cultural mythology kind of writing. So it's like when it comes down to it, that stuff is not. Even though it is Star Wars, it also isn't. It doesn't necessarily have to only be that. You know what I mean? So what I liked about the EU is that it kind of, if they're not necessarily dispensable, but it gets to a point where like they do die eventually, and then the world keeps going. Things just keep happening. The universe continues. It carries on. The galaxy and everything outside of it, all the planets and everything. There's just so much else to get into. That's the genius of Star Wars, is that it's endless. The possibilities are endless. It's a galaxy full of possibilities, and yet nobody capitalizes on them. And so that's why when I see stuff like Mandalorian, there's just so much more you could do, and it's the money making stuff.
It's exactly doing what you just said.
I would rather read the books.
Then you're claiming that it's not doing it.
I'm just saying no. I don't think it's enough though. I think it's lukewarm. It's milquetoast.
Oh my god!
It's like we have to
having never seen it.
We have to make a bottom line, so we have to make it this, that, and the other. We have to check off this list of things. We have to stick in cute baby so we can sell cute baby Yoda plushies. We have to have this foil between
it's so much more than that.
The cowboy man.
No, it's so much more. It's so much more than that.
Cowboy man and
you have not even
cutesy sidekick.
Oh my god!
I can't, dude. I don't know. I can't be bothered.
The mud monster.
I can't even watch it anyway because you deleted Disney Plus. You deleted the Disney Plus subscription. I can't watch it.
Yeah. Because hashtag because Gina Carano.
Yeah.
And I don't even like Gina Carano, but I like even less
hypocrisy.
The hypocrisy of Disney. Yeah. So it's like, just think about that. People think about that. It's like, I don't even like Gina Carano, and yet she got me to cancel Disney Plus because what they did to her was absolutely wrong.
Yeah. Also, so when you were a kid, how was Star Wars generally regarded by most of the other kids at school? Like, was it like the topic of a lot of lunchroom and locker room conversation?
It was never cool. It was never cool. It's like if you were
you had to be closeted basically.
I was never closeted. I was never closeted about anything. But I remember a lot of people, even into adulthood, are very closeted about their
just kind of insecure about it because it's not.
Well, career wise, when you're young, you don't want to get beat up. When you're older, you don't want to have your career jeopardized by.
Because some corporate guy might think you're immature or something.
Yeah, because unless it was fantasy football or talking about Hooters, women or stuff like that, you just don't talk about it. Like I remember my first, as like okay, we'll start with it as a kid. As a kid, me and this a friend of mine, Mike James, would just keep drawing X-wings and TIE fighters and Death Star, and I did it openly and unashamedly. But I remember other people would just oh, you like Star Wars. And it's like, I got the new, they wouldn't talk about it. Oh, because it was exactly like the movies.
So that was
with
real.
The bully. Yeah, that was real. The look at these guys talking about laser beams over here, and then you grow up and it's the same way.
Yeah, just differently.
Yeah, I remember when
now it's probably worse because you got the disingenuous stuff.
Well,
I would rather be.
That's a whole different story. I remember my first Navy squadron that me and another guy were big Star Wars fans, and he would he had bought the Star Wars Chronicles, right?
Nice.
That when they first came out, it was the first book with all the props and all the costumes, and,
Everything.
yeah,
Like,
everything.
the
Yeah,
encyclopedia.
it was better than the making of series,
Right.
And I remember him saying, "Hey, I got this new book," and he goes, "I'll bring it in," and we were upstairs in the hangar, and he looked around like this, like it was a drug deal, and he took it out of his briefcase.
Are you serious? Like
Yeah.
a grown man?
Yeah,
When was this? When was this?
1997.
Really?
Yeah, and he had 94, 95.
Oh.
So, and he had it in a Manila
Oh my God.
folder.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so you wouldn't say Star Wars, and then he just gave it to me that way because he didn't want the rest of the pilots to go, "Oh, look at the two Star Wars nerds and everything. Oh, we're gonna go talk about strip clubs and freaking fantasy football picks. This, what real men do. It's like,
Rough.
and that is why Captain Marvel did not strike out to me when I watched. That is
you know people like that.
Exactly. There are toxic males out there, but I'm still not buying Gillette. We're not. As soon as
there's toxic everybody.
There's toxic everybody.
Yeah.
And we're not all like that.
Toxic.
And I hate these campaigns where it's like everybody's a toxic male.
Well, and I hate the word toxic. It's so stupid. Something that used to mean like, okay, this is dangerous. Don't touch the radiation. Basically, I love how they've turned it into some bullshit. But yeah.
Yeah. So we. And now it's always disingenuous. You go like you have all these girls and all these Instagrams and influencers. I love Star Wars. It's like, oh yeah, what's your favorite? And they know nothing.
Yeah.
They're just they're just bandwagoners and they have no idea about Star Wars. And that's where we get the opposite, where cosplayers and cons are striking out against women. You get these toxic nerds. Okay, I know you hate that word, but you get these very toxic nerds and male Star Wars fans that are striking out very viciously against girls because
they're swinging too far in the other direction.
Right, but that's caused because of all these.
Oh, it's horrible. Just everything.
All these influence and everything trying to jump in on Star Wars when they're really not Star Wars fans. But the real ones get caught. The real girls get caught up in that crossfire.
That's kind of. I mean, like it's no wonder that like no one knows how to adjust to it. Though it's crazy how like quickly things change.
Yeah.
It went from like 180 to like it's the worst thing in the world. You should never like Star Wars. You're a fucking virgin or whatever. Dweeb. It went from that to now everybody wants it. It's like of course people are going to be kind of bipolar about it until things regulate. But it's like the landscape right now is a mess, and it doesn't help that.
Is that Sherilyn Finn?
What?
Or Cheryl Finn?
No, it's Ava Gardner.
That's Ava Gardner.
Yeah, married to Frank Sinatra.
I can't tell on your Mike Zero light.
It's not Mike Zero light. You're obsessed with him. It's like he's not even that like he's like nothing. He's like not like a nobody. I don't know. He's just some dude. Like I love it.
No, dude.
Out of all the YouTubers you could pick, it's just
because he's got all this weird.
Well, what? Come on.
Pure One imports.
It's cool though. It's cool. You will like it eventually. You will look back at it and go like, I didn't like it at first, but there's some novelty.
Okay.
Whatever you say.
Keep going.
God damn. So this is one I want to know. I'm gonna probably put timestamps here so everyone knows like what questions are specifically here, right? Kind of like a table of contents and all. But no, what I want to know is like, what did the adults around you think of Star Wars? What did Jan Grandpa think of Star Wars?
Kid stuff.
Like, they didn't get captured by it at all.
It's like comic books and
all adults.
Animation.
Like, was this like a general?
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Sentiment?
Yeah, we didn't have. I am the adult now that likes Star Wars, but when I was a kid, there were no adults that liked Star Wars or that would be open about it. And there were but you didn't know it because you didn't have the internet, you didn't have conventions.
You couldn't connect.
Yeah, you couldn't connect.
You could kind of, but not in ways that were like face to face. They didn't have conventions or anything. They had the bantha tracks and stuff like the letters, right?
Yeah,
like the magazines,
the fan club.
Maybe you could ask the editors or whatever, but that's about it.
Yeah. I don't remember.
There was never like, hey, Star Wars get together, because then the jocks, which actually did exist back then, would probably
the only
be dicks about it.
The only absolutely
some way or another.
And it's just like it's time for you. It's time for you to grow up. The only adults that I can remember.
Well, just for context, by the way, sorry. Yeah. When was that? When was your parent? Like, when was that generation of adults born?
I don't know, probably 50s.
50s.
Yeah.
Okay, 50s, so they probably it was probably a completely different world then. So that's probably why, right? Like I don't know, because they didn't even really have. They had Leave It to Beaver.
I don't know.
That was a
they had Outer Limits. They had Outer Limits. They had Forbidden Planet. They had Twilight Zone. They had
Well, that's something that weirds me out too. It's like, how can that stuff
Lost
be?
in Space.
Yeah, sure.
My Favorite Martian.
That's the thing that weirds me out. That confuses me about the whole thing, though. It's like, how can sci-fi and fantasy and those genres, like, how can they be counterculture or whatever? You know, some people consider them to be like, you know, alternative or whatever. But it's like, how can they be when they were continued to be made even back then? It's like there wasn't an audience for them. Clearly, you know, it's like clearly people wanted them. So why was it so unpopular? If it was popular enough to get like a following to the point where people felt it was worth it to continue making them, and how like the genre survived. You know what I mean? Like, how is that the case? Like, why? Like, what did normal people even watch then? I don't know. It's like this.
Well, no, it's not.
No,
it's not that. It's not that.
It's just a weird dynamic to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not. If you ask questions and expect answers, you gotta let people answer.
Well, I am. I'm just
keep it.
I'm lumping it on.
No.
I'm deeping it on. Go ahead.
It's not that it wasn't successful. People like that, but culturally, you still have. And again, you know, this whole wokeness comes from a place, and the place is that culture does not let you be who you want to be because it's still dominated by, you know, football talk and sports and baseball, you know, and NASCAR, and you know, everyone's closeted. And the fact that that stuff survived and still got greenlit, still got filmed, still got done, shows that people do enjoy that stuff, but the culture prevents people from openly sharing it until, you know, probably starting in the 70s and the 80s with Star Trek conventions and all the other stuff.
Well, isn't that kind of depressing in the first world, though, that people can't even be themselves?
Well, it is, and we have to be careful not to swing the other way. But I kind of enjoy that it is, you know, people can start coming out and being, you know, enjoying themselves within the last 20 years. You know, I see, you know, look at the merchandising and look at all the you know, the bandwagoners and the Me Too's saying you know, even if they don't know what Star Wars or Star Trek is, you know, they're pretending to be fans. Now it's okay. And you see, and at the workplace, you see less and less people, you know, speaking out and making fun of it. You know, in my profession, unfortunately, it's one of the most, you know, masculine professions that you can get. So you still have people, you know, just proudly saying, "Oh, I've never seen one Star Wars movie," or "I've never seen one Star Trek." You know, I do adult stuff like, you know, masturbate to, you know, hetero porn, and you know, it's like they rather admit to that.
Yeah.
You know, they literally, that is one of their defenses. They rather admit to that than say that they've seen a Star Trek or a Star Wars. You know, because they're real men. You know, they're real men. You know, you know, I'm gonna go. You know, watch some guys, you know, move a pigskin, you know, back and forth across the field for 3 hours, and then watch the pre-show and then watch the post-show, and then I'm gonna go ahead and you know, talk about. Then I'm gonna go, you know, get online and see if I can get, you know, this guy's jersey so I can wear another dude's name on my back.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, yeah, that sounds all manly.
I will say though, like as obnoxious as that sounds, and as little interest as I have in sports and everything, I think they are important. You know what I mean? I think they do satisfy a need.
I absolutely think sports are important.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I love playing sports. I love playing football. I love playing, you know, baseball is one of my favorite sports to play. You know,
I wasn't saying that you didn't think that, but
no, I love, and sports gets you out there, gets you active.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is like, I'd rather do it than sit there all day long and talk about it, and then use that.
Hypocrites.
Yeah, then use that as a shield to say that I'm more manly than you. You know,
they're all overweight, beard guys.
Yeah,
alcohol,
and it's like,
Haas.
Yeah, as you're 300 pounds there, and you haven't seen your feet and your penis in 10 years.
In debt,
yeah, you're going to talk about how much more of a man you are than me with your, you know, with your BMI.
Yeah,
you know,
it becomes a problem when they take it out on other people, and it becomes like it affects other people, basically. You know, it's do what you want in your own time, but when it starts to just get in the way of other people trying to do what they want to do in their own time or whatever, it's just like, shut up. But yeah, I know you're not like a critic person, but like, what did the critics think of Star Wars back when it first came out?
I don't remember. I didn't care.
You know,
you
don't want to hear what some.
I don't even remember what Siskel and Ebert used to say about it when they first came out. I think they liked it, but
Siskel and Ebert are all right.
Yeah,
they're
cool. But they, you know, they're the only critics that I remember from that time.
Yeah, because they're the big ones. They're the ones that have names. You know what I mean? It's like the rest of us kind of. So you know, last couple questions here. Did reactions to the movies, and this is from anyone, from viewers, from critics, yourself, just anybody in general, did they change from the when you first saw New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, any of them, all of them, none of them even, I don't know. And after you had time to process them more. So after multiple reviews, did things just change? Did your feelings towards them evolve over time? And like I guess that could lead all the way up to the present as well. Just
I don't remember any of that. No,
no,
no.
you didn't watch it like once and go. I didn't notice this the first viewing, then fourth viewing maybe. Like I was, oh, there's something there that I didn't think, something I didn't piece together. Maybe some contextual stuff, maybe, or anything like that. Maybe something happened in your personal life that helped you like see it completely differently, maybe even.
Well, the only thing
the older you get.
Well, yeah, there's one thing. Empire Strikes Back. Center this a little bit. There you go.
Sure.
The Empire Strikes Back. They always talk about Han Solo being a great leader and being a great general and all this other stuff.
But he wasn't.
But he wasn't.
No.
He was an asshole.
You think so?
He was.
I don't care, kid.
Yeah. No.
I don't care.
When you look at him interact with all the troops in the Hoth hangar when Luke's out there, when they're trying to convey that he was concerned about his friend, and he was just very unprofessional with, yeah, my friend's out there, I don't care,
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's like you don't talk, if you're a good leader, you don't talk, there's different ways to, and this is for me, having had to be an officer in the military for 20 years,
right?
He's one of the most toxic leaders that you would ever have.
But he would be, though. I feel like that's accurate to his character, isn't it? Because he's totally like anti-establishment. So of course, when he's placed in the establishment,
but you have to have balance. It's like, he doesn't care about throwing away everyone else's lives to save one guy. You don't do that.
He would be that kind of person, I feel like.
But then if
he's already alone,
you just had they could fix that with two, with like literally 3 seconds of dialogue.
Sure.
It's like just have some scene where the troops are getting attacked. It's like, we can't abandon them. Well, there's guys still on the ground, or there's we still have there's over 100 people on that base. We have to try to save them. Then you go, okay, there's balance.
Yeah.
But he's actually, and then the other thing, which I consider the Star Trek syndrome.
What is that? Can you explain what Star Trek syndrome is?
Well, it's that everybody's a leader. Everyone just like Christopher Pine jumps from midshipman, cadet. Excuse me. They should have kept him nautical midshipman. He's a midshipman. Then he goes straight to captain.
That doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense.
Hierarchy.
Yeah. Let's not even talk establishment. Okay, let's just talk about natural leadership and stuff like that. There's just stuff that you need to learn along the way that you just do not jump to the rank of captain or general. And Star Wars and Star Trek are very much like that. It's just oh hey, oh yeah, you're a 20-year-old kid. Okay, oh hey, you're a general tomorrow.
Yeah.
You just don't do that. And that was the other thing. So yeah, those are two things that I look at differently in the franchise or in the world, in the Star Wars galaxy, that I look at differently now as an adult than I did when I was a kid.
What would fix that though? Like, do you need to have like a military advisor on set in order to?
I don't think so. I don't think it's important to the storyline to just people like me or the success of each of the franchise. That's just you asked. You asked me what I noticed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering, like, I don't know. Do you think that would take away, just hypothetically, would it take away from? Do you think making it fully accurate would take away from the general appeal?
No, I think it would add to it.
You think so?
I think
people would be able to get behind it even if they don't have that experience.
Well, it depends on how it's written.
Sure. But it can be written well.
Yeah. Is it going to take 2 minutes of expositionary? Then that's just endless. 2 minutes is a hell of a lot of screen time.
But so what I'm asking is it's possible. It's possible.
It's possible. I haven't seen it done successfully yet. I'm sure there's some franchises out there.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I haven't watched. I haven't watched Babylon 5. I haven't watched Stargate. I haven't watched The Expanse. Maybe those address rank and progression a little more realistically.
Right. Only 2 more questions. So, I don't know. Do you think some people in the Star Wars fan base, do you think they treat Star Wars religiously? Like maybe like a religion,
way too much.
Like they might take it too seriously. And is it possible to take Star Wars too seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I watched the sequels and I just go, oh, it was enjoyable to watch, but it just completely ruined everything. And I just move on with my life. And there's fans out there that watch it and then they get consumed with it.
You think so?
Oh,
it's like a rabbit hole. Like
it's a rabbit. It's
like
years.
It's
years later, and they're still stewing and simmering and festering about how Star Wars got ruined by the sequels. And it's just like I go to bed. I don't even think about it.
What's the solution to that?
Fire Kathleen Kennedy.
No, I mean just like for those people, like how do they get out of that?
I don't know, because that
Watch
was
something else, maybe. Or, like,
no,
can you recommend
that was
anything?
probably their whole life. That was probably and that's the other thing. People tie everything, their existence to these franchises. People live Star Wars. People live Star Trek, and
So
they
you
don't
think
have any life outside of that.
you think the toxic man babies are real?
Oh, toxic man, toxic fan babies are real. It's an absolute real thing.
A lot of people would not like you for saying that.
It's true.
I don't know.
I was able to go in, and me,
Sure.
I love Star Wars. I just choose to ignore the last three.
Yeah.
And if you choose to spend the rest of your life, feeding that anger and that hate inside against the last three, that's energy and time that you could have spent doing something else.
Yeah. Well, here, how about this? Let's make it productive. Let's add a silver lining. Recommend some stuff for them to watch that's like Star Wars that would like help them forget. Maybe like, oh, I'm into Doctor Who now. Like, this is really great. Like, can you think of like a couple?
No.
No,
I can't.
It's depressing though. Like, come on.
Hey, it is. Maybe just go just compartmentalize.
Guys, watch Battlestar Galactica. Watch Time Bandits. Right. Watch Time Bandits. Watch Bill and Ted. Watch all of Star Trek. It's all on Netflix. All of them.
Yeah, I don't know what they like. I know what I like.
Babylon 5.
I know
Red
what
Dwarf.
I like. I haven't seen Red Dwarf. They're okay. What I recommend is get out there and watch something that you normally wouldn't watch. And
so
for
just
me,
go out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, go out of your comfort zone. You might be surprised. I did not like Altered Carbon's trailers. I didn't like the marketing campaign behind it, and I was just bored. I was in a hotel room, and I just needed to watch something. So I said, I'll give one episode of Altered Carbon a chance, and I loved it.
And you were pleasantly surprised.
I loved it. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. What I didn't like was the production value and the artistic direction they went. But once you got over that, the story and everything, I loved it.
Sure.
And then I ended up liking the production. Then I ended up liking the the flavor and the tone of the way they went on it. So hey,
well, and
I went outside my comfort zone.
Well, on the other hand, too, the people who do spend time, I guess, stewing in that whole sequel trilogy failure stuff, I think they have a good point though, because I think
all their points are valid. Absolutely, I do not disagree with it. I just can't get worked up like Ryan. I mean, that guy must have an ulcer the size of freaking
he's funny though.
The Death Star.
He's funny though.
Or Star Killer Base. What a stupid name.
Well, and that's the beauty of like
that's what people make fun of nerds for. Names like Star Killer Base.
Well, and the fact that it can like destroy 100 planets instead of just one or whatever.
It doesn't work that way.
1,000. It's a million. It's a million. Yeah. No, but I think that's the beauty of free speech in the world we live in today. It's like if you don't want to listen to them, you don't have to. And it's like at least people like Ryan, who you might not agree with, at least they give people who do agree with them. It might not be the healthiest thing in the world or whatever, but it's like at least they have something, community.
I don't disagree with 98% of what
it's all about personal account.
Yeah, what he says, 98% of what he says,
it's up to the individual.
It's just his execution and
sure, yeah,
yeah,
it's not for everyone.
Yeah,
but
okay. How consumed he is by it.
Yeah. All right,
it's just hard. It's a lot to take in.
Sure. Last question of the night, Dad. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Do you think Star Wars will ever go back to the way it was before?
I sure hope so.
Can it save itself from?
You know what? I've got
the Disney era.
I've got 2 words for you. That is the future hope of Star Wars. It's Favreau and Filoni.
So, what do you think they should get promoted to? Like,
they should be in charge of the whole. Yeah.
Do you think that would work though? Because some people make the argument that they're creatives and not administrators. Kind of, like they're not. They don't.
I think it's time for create. I don't know how the industry works. Your uncle might tell you.
Sure.
He's the better person to ask. But I think the way that it needs to go, because it sure has not been working for the last 3 movies.
Yeah.
The way it needs to go is Favreau and Filoni. That's all I'm going to say.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah.
All right.
How'd you feel about how do you think it went?
Oh, it went okay. You need to let people when you talk to other people, you need to let them answer their questions. That's all.
I do. Come on, I stepped over it once.
Go watch it.
No,
I didn't get mad. I'm just saying. It was like 4 questions in a row. You never let me answer.
That's because
you just kept adding stuff and you just kept talking.
It's my thing.
No, you're just
Yeah,
it is your thing,
Gotcha.
and if you want to have people on, I'm just saying, in the future, when it's not me, you got to have people on. You got to have let them answer the questions. Otherwise, it's just it's just the you show.
Sure. So you heading off?
Oh yeah.
All right. Cool.
I gotta poop.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. This was the first episode of the what was it called? I don't know. It's so young that I don't even know what it's called.
Gold water pool or something.
No, yeah, the Viridian Hills podcast, right? And so, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and we'll be doing more of these very soon with all sorts of people, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're just going to be talking about this sort of thing. We're going to be doing this just all the time. It's chill conversation, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, take care and bye for now. This is Holden. This is Holden signing off. So see you guys all in the next one. Peace.